The richest man in the city had everything money could buy, except one thing. He couldn't make his son walk. Adam sat by the window on the third floor of the mansion, watching other children run and play in the park across the street. He was 6 years old. He had never taken a single step in his life. Not one. The mansion was huge. It had 42 rooms, a swimming pool shaped like a dolphin, and chandeliers that sparkled like frozen waterfalls. But to Adam, it felt like a giant cage made of gold. His father, Victor, was a powerful man. He owned banks, hotels, and companies with names Adam couldn't even pronounce. Victor thought money could fix anything. When Adam was born, the months passed without him walking. Victor hired the best doctors in the world. They came from London, from New York, from Switzerland. They poked Adam with needles. They made him lie inside loud machines that hummed and beeped. They asked him 1,000 questions, but Adam rarely answered. He didn't like talking. Words felt heavy in his mouth, like stones. One doctor said Adam had something wrong with his brain. Another said his muscles were too weak. A third doctor, wearing tiny glasses that made his eyes look like a bug's, said Adam might have autism and would never be normal. Never. Victor had asked, his voice shaking. "I'm afraid not," the bug-eyed doctor replied. "Some children simply don't." After that, the doctors stopped coming. The mansion grew quieter. Victor spent more time at his office, and Adam spent more time alone. His room was filled with toys, remote control cars, video games, stuffed animals the size of real bears. But Adam never played with them. He just sat and watched and waited for something he didn't understand. In the corner of his room stood a pair of small crutches. They were made of shiny silver metal with soft blue handles. A doctor had left them there 2 years ago. Adam hated those crutches. They reminded him of what he couldn't do. The maids came and went like shadows. They cleaned his room, brought his food, and left without saying much. Adam didn't blame them. He knew he was different. He knew people didn't know what to say to a boy who couldn't walk and barely talked. Then, one Thursday morning in September, everything changed. A new maid arrived. Her name was Clara. Adam didn't notice her at first. She wore the same black uniform as the others, a simple dress with a white apron. Her hair tied back in a neat bun. She looked like she was in her 30s, with kind eyes and hands that looked like they'd worked hard for a long time. Clara was different from the other maids, though Adam realized this on her second day. She didn't just clean and leave. She stayed. Adam was sitting in his usual spot by the window when Clara came into his room with fresh sheets. She changed his bed quietly, humming a soft tune. Adam kept his eyes on the park outside, pretending not to notice her. But then Clara spoke. "You like watching them play, don't you?" Adam's shoulders stiffened. Adults didn't usually ask him questions like that. They asked things like, "Did you eat breakfast?" or "Do you need anything?" But never about what he felt. He didn't answer. Clara didn't seem bothered. She walked over and stood beside him, looking out the window too. "I used to love the swings when I was little," she said softly. "I'd pump my legs as hard as I could, trying to touch the sky. Never made it, though." She laughed, a warm sound that filled the quiet room. Adam glanced at her from the corner of his eye. Clara noticed. She smiled. "What's your favorite part?" she asked, nodding toward the park. "The swings? The slide?" Adam's hands were folded in his lap. His fingers trembled slightly. He whispered, so quietly Clara almost didn't hear the running. Clara's smile didn't fade, but something flickered in her eyes. Sadness, maybe, or understanding. "Running is pretty great," she agreed. Then she did something no one had ever done before. She sat down on the floor beside Adam's chair. She didn't tower over him like the doctors or stand far away like the other maids. She sat right there at his level. "Can I tell you a secret?" Clara asked. Adam looked at her fully now, curious. "I don't think you're stuck," Clara said. "I think you're just waiting." "Waiting for what?" Adam's voice was small, but it was there. Clara leaned in, like she was sharing the most important secret in the world. For someone to believe in you the right way. Adam didn't know what to say. His chest felt tight, but not in a bad way. It felt like something inside him, something that had been asleep for a long time, was waking up. Why don't you use those? Clara pointed to the crutches in the corner. Adam's jaw tightened. I'll fall. Maybe, Clara said with a shrug. But you know what happens after you fall? Adam shook his head. Clara grinned. You get back up. That's the best part. No one had ever said it like that before. Everyone else had said be careful, or don't push yourself, or worst of all, it's okay if you can't. But Clara said, you get back up. Over the next few days, Clara kept coming back. She'd sit with Adam, talk to him about everything and nothing. She told him stories about her childhood, about her grandmother who made the best apple pie in the world, about the time she got chased by a goose at a farm. Adam started to smile. Then he started to laugh. And one afternoon, when Clara asked if he wanted to try going outside, Adam, for the first time in his life, said yes. Going outside wasn't as simple as opening a door. For Adam, it was like preparing to climb a mountain. Clara didn't rush him. The first day, they only made it to the hallway. Adam held onto the wall with both hands, his legs shaking like leaves in the wind. His wheelchair sat empty behind them. You're doing great, Clara said, walking slowly beside him. Adam's forehead was covered in sweat. His arms hurt from holding himself up. After 5 steps, he stopped. I can't, he whispered. You just did, Clara replied, smiling. 5 steps is 5 more than yesterday. The next day, they made it to the staircase. Adam stared down the long flight of stairs like it was a cliff. We don't have to go down today, Clara said gently. We can just look. But Adam surprised her. Tell me about the goose again. Clara laughed and launched into the story. How the goose had stolen her sandwich right out of her hand and chased her around the farm, honking like a broken trumpet. By the time she finished, Adam was smiling. That goose sounds mean, Adam said. Oh, he was a terror, Clara agreed. But you know what? I went back to that farm the next day. Didn't let that goose win. Adam looked at the stairs again. I'm scared. Me too, Clara admitted. Stairs are scary, but we'll do it together. And if you want to stop, we stop. Deal. Adam thought about it. Then he nodded. It took 20 minutes to get down those stairs. Clara held his hand the entire time. When they finally reached the bottom, Adam was breathing hard, but his eyes were shining. I did it, he whispered, like he couldn't believe it himself. You sure did, Clara said, and Adam saw tears in her eyes. Happy tears. The other maids watched from doorways, whispering to each other. Some looked amazed. Others looked worried. Adam heard one of them mutter, the master won't like this. What if the boy gets hurt? But Clara didn't seem to care what anyone thought. That evening, Victor came home late from work. As usual, he walked past Adam's room, but didn't come in. Adam heard his heavy footsteps fade down the hallway. Clara was reading Adam a story when she noticed his sad face. What's wrong? She asked. My dad doesn't believe I can do it. Adam said quietly. He thinks I'm broken. Clara closed the book and looked Adam straight in the eyes. Listen to me very carefully, she said. You are not broken. You're not weird. You're not wrong. You're Adam. And Adam is perfect exactly as he is. But I can't walk like other kids. Yet, Clara corrected. You can't walk like other kids yet. Big difference. What if I never can? Clara tilted her head thoughtfully. Then you'll find another way to run toward your dreams. But something tells me you're stronger than you think. The doctors said I might never be normal. Clara snorted. Normal? Normal is boring. Normal is plain oatmeal. Normal is beige walls. You know what you are. Adam shook his head. You're extraordinary, and I'm going to prove it to you. Over the next 3 weeks, Clara and Adam worked together every single day. Some days were good. Adam made it all the way to the garden, touching the rose bushes and feeling the sun on his face for the first time in months. Other days were hard. Adam fell twice. Once he scraped his knee and cried, not because it hurt, but because he was frustrated and tired and scared he'd never get better. Clara sat on the ground with him both times. Falling is part of learning, she told him. Every single person who walks has fallen 100 times, 1,000 times. You're not behind, Adam. You're right on time. But the breakthrough came on a rainy Tuesday morning. Adam woke up to the sound of raindrops tapping against his window. The sky was gray, and puddles were forming in the garden below. Clara came in with breakfast, toast with jam and scrambled eggs. Not a great day for walking, Adam said, disappointed. Clara set the tray down and looked out the window. Then she smiled that mischievous smile Adam had come to love. Actually, she said, it's a perfect day. For what? For being brave. An hour later, Adam and Clara stood at the back door of the mansion. Clara had brought his crutches, the shiny silver ones Adam hated. I don't want to use those, Adam said immediately. I know, Clara replied. But today, we're going to make them your friends, not your enemies. They're not a sign of weakness, Adam. They're tools, like a knight's sword or a wizard's staff. Adam considered this. A wizard's staff? Absolutely. Very powerful. Very cool. Adam almost smiled. Okay. They stepped outside. The rain had slowed to a light drizzle. The air smelled fresh and clean, like the earth was waking up. Clara led Adam down the stone path toward the garden. His crutches clicked against the wet ground. He was wobbly but determined. Then they reached it, a huge puddle stretching across the entire path. Adam stopped. His hands gripped the crutches tighter. I'll slip, he said, his voice shaking. Maybe, Clara said. She looked at the puddle, then at Adam. But I have an idea. She untied her white apron and laid it carefully across the puddle like a bridge. There, she said. Now you have a path. Adam stared at the apron. It looked small and fragile against the water. What if I fall and look stupid? He asked, his biggest fear finally spilling out. Clara knelt down in the wet grass, not caring that her uniform was getting soaked. She took Adam's hand. Then I'll fall with you, she said firmly, and we'll look stupid together. But Adam, you won't be alone. I promise. I will never let you be alone in this. Something inside Adam cracked open. All the fear, all the loneliness, all the years of feeling like he didn't matter. It all started to melt away. He looked at Clara, really looked at her, at this woman who had only known him for a few weeks, but believed in him more than anyone ever had. Will you stay? Adam asked, his voice barely a whisper. Even after I learn to walk? Will you stay with me? Clara's eyes filled with tears. She squeezed his hand. As long as you keep trying, I'll keep staying. That's my promise to you. Adam took a deep breath. Then he placed his crutch on the apron. One step. The apron held. His heart pounded in his chest like a drum. Another step. Still holding. His legs trembled. His arms shook. But he didn't stop. Third step. Fourth step. And then he was across. Adam stood on the other side of the puddle, breathing hard, his eyes wide with shock. I did it, he whispered. Clara, I did it. Clara was crying now, tears streaming down her face, but she was smiling the biggest smile Adam had ever seen. You did, she said, her voice thick with emotion. You absolutely did. For the first time in 6 years, Adam had walked without falling, and someone had been there to see it. But neither of them knew who else was watching. Victor had come home early. He never came home early. But his morning meeting had been canceled, and something, he didn't know what, pulled him back to the mansion. He parked his black Mercedes in the circular driveway and grabbed his briefcase. As he walked toward the front door, he heard something that made him stop. Laughter. A child's laughter. His child's laughter. Victor's heart skipped. He couldn't remember the last time he'd heard Adam laugh. Had he ever heard it? He followed the sound around the side of the mansion, his expensive shoes getting wet from the rain-soaked grass. And then he saw them. Adam was standing in the garden. Standing. Not sitting in his wheelchair. Not being carried. Standing on his own 2 feet, gripping his crutches, with the biggest smile Victor had ever seen on his son's face. And beside him was Clara, the new maid, clapping her hands and crying happy tears. Victor's briefcase slipped from his fingers and hit the ground with a heavy thud. Adam's head turned at the sound. When he saw his father, his whole face lit up like fireworks. Dad. Adam shouted. Actually shouted, with more energy than Victor knew his son possessed. "Dad, look. I'm walking." I walked across the puddle all by myself. Victor couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. He stood frozen, watching his son, his boy who every doctor said would never walk, standing there like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Watch this," Adam said excitedly. He took a step forward on his crutches. Then another. His movements were shaky and slow, but they were real. He was walking toward his father. Victor's vision blurred. He realized he was crying. Victor Ashford, who never cried. Not at business meetings, not at funerals, not even when Adam was born and the doctors first told him something was wrong, was cry like a child. Adam reached him and looked up with proud, sparkling eyes. "Did you see Dad? Did you see me?" Victor dropped to his knees in the wet grass. He didn't care that his $1,000 suit was getting ruined. He didn't care that the other servants were probably watching from the windows. None of it mattered. He pulled Adam into his arms and held him tight. "I saw you," Victor whispered, his voice breaking. "I saw you, son. I saw you." Adam hugged his father back, and for a long moment they just held each other in the rain-soaked garden while the morning sun began breaking through the clouds. When Victor finally pulled back, he looked up at Clara, who stood a respectful distance away, hands folded, tears still streaming down her face. "You," Victor said, his voice thick with emotion. "You did this." Clara shook her head quickly. "No, sir. Adam did this. I just believed he could." Victor stood slowly, still holding Adam's hand. He looked at Clara like he was seeing her for the first time. "How long have you been here?" he asked. 7 weeks, sir," Clara replied quietly. 7 weeks. Victor's voice was filled with disbelief. "I spent 6 years. 6 years and more money than most people see in a lifetime on specialists, therapists, and doctors from around the world. And in 7 weeks you—" His voice broke. He couldn't finish the sentence. Clara stepped forward gently. "Mr. Ashford, those doctors gave you information. But Adam didn't need information. He needed something money can't buy." "What?" Victor asked desperately. "What did he need?" Clara smiled softly. Someone to believe in him, not in what he might become or what he should be, but in who he already was. Victor felt like he'd been punched in the chest. All these years, he'd been so focused on fixing Adam that he'd never just seen him. "I failed him," Victor whispered. "No," Adam said suddenly, squeezing his father's hand. "You didn't fail me, Dad. You just needed help. Clara helped both of us." Victor looked down at his son, amazed at the wisdom in those young eyes. "Clara," Adam continued, turning to her with worry suddenly crossing his face. You promised you'd stay." Clara's smile wavered. "Adam, Please," Adam begged, his voice cracking. "Please don't go. I need you. We need you." Victor saw the fear in Clara's eyes. She thought she was going to be sent away. Maybe she thought he was angry that she'd overstepped her role as a maid. He needed to fix this. "Now, Clara," Victor said firmly. She looked at him, standing straighter, preparing for whatever came next. "I don't know how to thank you," Victor began. "You've given me back my son. You've given him something I couldn't. Hope, courage, life. You've shown me that I've been a fool, chasing solutions in all the wrong places while the answer was right here. In kindness, in patience, in belief." He paused, his voice strengthening. "You are no longer just a maid in this house." Clara's eyes widened. "You are family," Victor declared. "If you choose to stay, you'll stay as part of this family. Adam needs you, and I think I do too, to remind me what truly matters." The other servants, who had gathered near the back door to watch, gasped and whispered among themselves. Clara's hand flew to her mouth. Tears poured freely now. "Mr. Ashford, I don't know what to say." "Say you'll stay," Adam pleaded, tugging on her hand. Clara knelt down and cupped Adam's face gently. "I made you a promise, didn't I? And I never break my promises." Adam threw his arms around her neck. Victor watched them, and something inside him, something cold and hard that had been there for years, finally melted away. He'd spent his whole life building an empire, thinking that power and wealth were the measures of success. But standing here in his rain-soaked garden, watching his son hug the woman who'd saved him, Victor realized something profound. He'd been rich his entire life. But this was the first time he'd ever felt truly wealthy. "Clara," Victor said softly. She looked up at him. "Thank you for not giving up on him, for seeing what I was too blind to see." Clara smiled through her tears. He was never the problem, Mr. Ashford. He just needed someone to walk beside him, not ahead of him or behind him. Beside him. Victor nodded, understanding finally settling deep in his bones. That afternoon, something changed in the mansion. The servants noticed it immediately. Victor canceled all his meetings and spent the day with Adam, really with him, sitting on the floor, listening to his stories, laughing at his jokes. Clara watched from the doorway, her heart full. Over the next months, Adam grew stronger. His steps became steadier. His confidence bloomed like flowers in spring. There were still hard days when his legs hurt or he felt frustrated. But Clara was always there, reminding him that progress isn't a straight line. It's a wobbly, messy, beautiful journey. And Victor? He learned to be a father instead of just a provider. He learned that his son didn't need a perfect life. He needed a present one. The mansion, once cold and silent, filled with laughter and life. And it all started because one woman looked at a boy everyone else had given up on and said the most powerful words he'd ever heard. "I believe in you." If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And subscribe for more stories that remind us what truly matters in life. Because the best miracles aren't bought with money. They're built with love.